Guru Dutt Films and Bhalerao presents Sahib Bibi or Ghulam. Namaste and welcome to IndiCineGlitz channel. Set in the British-ruled India, the movie begins with a middle-aged architect named Atulya Chakravarti who is inspecting a dilapidated site where he has to construct a commercial building. But while inspecting, he finds the place to be very familiar. He has some old memories attached to that place, remembering which he gets lost in the past. Now we are in the past of the Atulya, where the same ruin is a palatial palace, and outside its gates stands the young Atulya, fondly called Bhutnath, who is awestruck by the grandeur and glitz of the palace. He has come to Kolkata city in search of a job and is waiting for his brother-in-law there, who takes him his home. At home, he meets a very talkative man named Bansi, who is a servant of the palace. He tells him about the palace, which belongs to the three brothers of the Chaudhary family, among which the eldest brother has died and two younger brothers live there with their families. Both these brothers are spoiled. The middle brother, known as Manjhle Babu, liked to squander money on false luxuries, and the younger brother, referred to as Chote Babu, is an adulterer who spends all his nights in a brothel despite having a beautiful wife who worships him like a god. One night, Bhutnath wakes up to the sound of a woman singing. He then sees a horse carriage approaching the palace. A drunk man comes out of it and the palace servant Bansi takes him inside. Just then, Bhutnath sees the lady who is wandering in the corridors of the palace singing a very sad song, seeing which Bhutnath is stunned. The next day, his brother-in-law takes him to the owner of the Mohini factory, to Mr. Subian. When Bhutnath introduces himself there, Subian's daughter Zaba laughs at his strange name, but Bhutnath doesn't mind her rudeness and impresses Mr. Subian with his simplicity and innocent nature. But when Bhutnath reveals his family details, Subian looks confused but hires Bhutnath as a supervisor in his factory, where Sindoor, that is, vermilion, is made for women. In India, there is a custom for married women to wear sindoor as a symbol of marriage, which was an essential practice in those days. Bhutnath has now started working in the factory. There also works a sly cook who, despite Bhutnath's complaints, gives him much less food than expected. The next day, the talkative Bansi tells Bhutnath that he is the personal servant of Chote Babu, who is a drunkard and neither respects nor cares for his wife and sleeps in a separate room. His wife, who is addressed as Choti Bahu, is saddened by her husband's infidelity but still loves him and longs for a glimpse of him, and that's why she is sleepless, roams around the palace at night and sings sad songs while waiting for her husband. Hearing her plight, Bhutnath now sympathizes with her. One day at work, Bhutnath goes to Zaba to fix a minor change in the new advertisement of Mohini Sindoor, which claims that if this sindoor is used, the lost love will return and all the problems of life will go away. He then asks her about the food arrangement but leaves without telling the whole story despite Zaba's insistence. But later, Zaba learns about cook's dishonesty, so Subian scolds and fires him from the job, and Zaba scolds Bhutnath for hiding the truth. Bhutnath then apologizes to her for his mistake and Zaba falls in love with him, seeing his candor and innocence. After a few days, Bansi comes to Bhutnath and says that Choti Bahu wants to meet him and takes him to her. Finally, Bhutnath meets Choti Bahu and is mesmerized by her beauty and could not take his eyes off her. She gets amused by his bewildered face and finds him trustworthy because of his innocence and simplicity. She confides her pain to him and asks to bring Mohini Sindoor, believing that it will work as the advertisement claims, to which Bhutnath agrees. Bhutnath questions Zaba and Subian about the efficiency of Mohini Sindoor as claimed, which Zaba doesn't know, and Subian refrains from answering and leaves as some guests arrive at his house. The next night, Bhutnath goes to the Choti Bahu and gives her the sindoor, seeing which Choti Bahu laughs and tells Bhutnath that despite having so much wealth, luxury and servants, she is not happy in this palace, as her husband, whom she loves more than her own life, does not care for her. Bhutnath then assures her that this sindoor will definitely be effective and her husband will be reformed. Seeing Bhutnath's sympathy, she realizes that he is the only one in the entire world who understands and cares for her. A bond of respect and affection has formed between them. The next day, when Bhutnath is in the marketplace, some freedom fighters throws bomb at the police. This creates chaos and police starts firing, in which Bhutnath gets shot in the leg and gets injured. Meanwhile, at the palace, the Choti Bahu Bahu, wearing Mohini Sindoor and adornments, goes to her husband and requests him not to go to the brothel. But he disrespects and insults her, saying that it is a matter of pride to go to the brothel. Bhutnath is now at the hospital and Zaba is taking care of him. She asks him about the woman whose name he kept calling out throughout the night in a swoon. Then Bhutnath describes the beauty and goodness of Choti Bahu, which makes Zaba jealous. He then confesses to her that he has only respect and affection towards the Choti Bahu, but he is in love with Zaba. When Bansi comes to see him, he tells him that applying Mohini Sindoor has not changed anything and that Choti Bahu's husband still goes to the brothel. Bhutnath feels guilty for giving false hope to the Choti Bahu and tells Subian that he can no longer be in the job, which breaks trust by making such false claims. One day, Choti Bahu begs her husband not to go to the brothel again, to which he replies that he will not go there only if she drinks and dances all night like that courtesan, because that's all he likes, on which Choti Bahu looks shocked. After recovering, Bhutnath goes to see the Choti Bahu. She then asks him to bring alcohol for her. Bhutnath is shocked to hear this and asks the reason. She says that she can go to any extent to get the love of her husband and fulfill his every wish. But Bhutnath warns her that the path she is on will only lead to her destruction. But blinded by love, she no longer cares for herself and takes a promise from him to bring her alcohol. And due to the promise, he brings her alcohol. In the next scene, we see her husband asking her to drink. She hesitates, but he forcefully makes her drink. Thus, she starts drinking. After leaving the Mohini factory, Bhutnath now works as a junior architect. After a few days, he learns that Subian's health has taken a turn for the worse. He immediately goes to meet him. Subian tells him that he has now closed the Mohini factory and pays him his salary. He then expresses his desire to get Zaba married to a nobleman named Supavitra as soon as possible. It breaks Bhutnath's heart and he leaves Zaba without saying anything. He then goes to deposit his money for security with the Choti Bahu, who is now alcoholic and is always drunk. Seeing her condition, he gets worried, but she tells him that because of her drinking, her husband has finally returned to her and stopped going to the brothel. Unable to see her in such a bad state, Bhutnath aggressively forbids her to drink alcohol, which enrages her and throws him out of the palace. After a few days, some greedy businessmen try to sell off an abandoned coal mine by taking advantage of the extravagance and carelessness of the Chaudhary brothers. Both the brothers, who are busy with their fornication, buy it without any investigation. In the meantime, Chote Babu, who's bored sitting at home, starts going again to the brothel, which enrages the Choti Bahu and reprimands him for going there despite everything she has done for him, upon which he insults her by calling her a drunkard and goes to the brothel. There, he sees his archenemy. He attacks him, but his enemy severely injures him along with his men and renders him unconscious. Away from all this, Bhutnath is busy with his work in Mumbai. When he returns after a few months, he finds the same grand and luxurious palace now in ruins. Bansi comes and tells him that the Chaudhary brothers have incurred huge losses due to the idle coal mine and are in debt. Chote Babu is now bedridden with paralysis and Choti Bahu is an alcoholic as usual. He then goes to meet the Choti Bahu, who is happy to see him. She again asks him to sell her gold bangles and bring her alcohol. Angry Bhutnath again reprimands her to come her to senses, see the reality and give up alcohol. Manchle Babu sees this ongoing quarrel and is unhappy with the Choti Bahu's involvement with this stranger man. Chote Babu, who has finally come to his senses with the harsh realities of life, has realized his wife's undying love for him. He begs her to give up alcohol, and Choti Bahu, who would do anything for her beloved husband, finally agreed to give up alcohol. Bhutnath then goes to meet Zaba. She then tells him that before Subian died, he had told her that she had been married off as a child according to the custom of the time, but he died before revealing the identity of her groom. She wants to find her long-lost husband. Saddened by hearing this, Bhutnath offers to help her find her husband. Zaba then shows him Subian's own letter, reading which Bhutnath is shocked and realizes that he is the one who is Zaba's long-lost husband, who had married Zaba in his childhood but later, after being orphaned, moved to another city with relatives and lost all contact with Subian. One night, Bansi comes to Bhutnath and says that Choti Bahu has asked his company to go with her to a distant city and meet a godman who has the power to grant all wishes. Choti Bahu assures her husband that this godman will remove all their trouble and sorrows from their life and they will be happy happy again. But her paralyzed husband signals her with his eyes not to go. On this, she tells him not to worry and she will be back soon. Manjle Babu sees Bhutnath and Choti Bahu leaving in a horse carriage. In the car, Choti Bahu says that her only wish now is for her husband to recover soon and thanks Bhutnath for his kindness and understanding towards her all this time. But just then, the car stops with sudden jolt. Some goons come and drag Bhutnath out of the car and beat him up badly and kidnaps Choti Bahu. After some days, Bansi comes to meet Bhutnath at the hospital. He tells him that Choti Bahu is still missing and Chote Babu has passed away. Majle Babu also left the palace. No one lives there now. Now we are back in the present day where architect Atulya has returned to the palace site after many years and was lost in his past. The laborers working there tells him that they have found something in the excavation. Atulya follows and sees a buried skeleton with gold bracelets. Shocked, Atulya remembers that it was the same bracelet that the Choti Bahu was wearing that fateful night. The cruel fate of his beloved Choti Bahu is now revealed to Atulya. It was her skeleton. She was killed and buried in this place. Saddened by this truth, he leaves and goes to the carriage where his wife Saba is waiting for him. And with this, the movie ends. So this was our favorite movie of the day. If you find this movie streaming in your country, then I'm sure you'll definitely watch it. Do tell us your opinion in the comment section and don't forget to like, share and subscribe our channel. Take care.